Hello and welcome to this virtual tour of the Rayleigh Windmill, a tourist and educational attraction boasting a museum, exhibition space, and many interesting facts and displays showing the history of Rayleigh and the Rayleigh Mount. The Rayleigh Windmill also serves as a popular venue for weddings and other celebrations. The windmill can be found within the Rochford district, which is located in Essex. The Rochford district boasts an area of 65 square miles and offers plenty of character and natural beauty through its wonderful countryside and miles of coastline. The district is enriched with a tremendous amount of charm and history, and the windmill perfectly encapsulates these traits. Rayleigh itself is an historic market town and the main centre of population within the district. The town has retained much of its traditional character and provides a vibrant town centre. The windmill can be found along Bellingham Lane, a side road from the High Street. The windmill is a Grade II listed building, and this beautiful local landmark was first built in 1809. It spent much of the late 20th century disused, but has since been reborn as a result of extensive restoration work carried out in 2006, allowing it to reopen to the public. These restoration works also allowed the windmill to host celebrations, including weddings. With its majestic sails and picturesque garden, it offers a stunning backdrop for photographs and is perfect for those looking for a venue full of charm and romance. The windmill is owned and managed by Rochford District Council. The red brick tower stands at 55 feet tall, and with the cap and sails included, the windmill stands at 67 feet tall, making it the tallest in Essex. The sails on the windmill are around 40 feet in length and were removed in October 2017 for essential maintenance before being restored. As you move up, each floor reduces in area as the tower tapers towards the top. Of its 6 floors, only the first 4 are accessible to the public. Adjacent to the windmill is the Windmill Garden, which provides a lovely and peaceful area for visitors. A commemorative sculpture can be found within the garden, which highlights the inner workings of the windmill and is almost 7 feet tall, weighing approximately half a ton. The sculpture was designed in collaboration with local schoolchildren from across the district and was unveiled in 2009 as part of a celebration of the 200th anniversary of the Rayleigh Windmill. Originally, when the windmill was operational, each floor had a separate and important part to play in the flour-producing process. The ground floor would mainly be used for the management of the business and is where the sacks of grain would have been received and weighed. Additionally, administrative tasks crucial for business would have been performed here. Once received and weighed, the sacks of grain would be winched to the top of the mill with a hoist and one-way trapdoors passing through each floor to the top of the mill. Moving up the windmill, the first floor is where the miller worked and controlled each element of production. All the energy that was created by the sails would have been brought to this floor, as it would turn the great spur, which was a large wheel that would turn above the miller's head. This great spur wheel had gears known as stone nuts, which were used to operate all the various pieces of machinery present. The next floor is where you would find 3 sets of stones, which were crucial for the production of produce at the windmill. Utilizing the power coming from the work of the miller on the floor below, each stone rotated over a static bed stone. The third floor was known as the bin floor, as the grain would have been fed from the sacks in the floor above into bins. From here, the grain would then feed through into the stones on the second floor below by passing through the hopper. Continuing upwards, the fourth floor was for the short-term storing of the sacks of grain, whilst they waited to fill the bins below and then start the whole process. Above this, the fifth floor was an area with a very low ceiling and was known as the dust floor. The reason for having a dust floor located here was to minimize the risk of unwanted debris entering the process by creating a barrier between the moving cap and the mill. And finally, at the very top of the windmill, we have the cap located on the 6th floor, which also houses the brake wheel. This receives power directly from the sails and in turn uses the gearing to send the power to the great spur wheel, with the miller on the 2nd floor of the windmill. At the rear of the cap is the fantail, which rotated the cap and sails into the wind. The windmill cap would be particularly vulnerable to high wind damage, which would make access for regular maintenance a very daunting and dangerous prospect. What a fascinating insight into the history of the windmill and how this iconic local building functioned when it was in operation. Now we would love to take a look at what you can find at the windmill today, as there are many delightful and interesting things to come along and see. You will be greeted by the wonderful Rayleigh Windmill volunteers, often in costume upon your arrival. The volunteers are the foundation upon which the entire experience is built. Their dedication and extensive knowledge on the history of the windmill is unparalleled and a highlight for all visiting. The ground floor is where you can relive some of the highlights and the history of the windmill through both the extensive knowledge of the volunteers and the storyboards that you can find displayed across the room. You can find further detail on each of these storyboards by visiting www.rochford.gov.uk/windmill. The ground floor also has a TV screen for short presentations and offers footage of the upper floors for those who are unable to access them. For younger visitors, the ground floor has an activity table with lots of fun pieces of equipment for them to enjoy. There is a demonstration from the volunteers on a set of hand-operated quernstones and how this would have been used to turn grain into flour when the windmill was operational. The volunteers also have some fascinating stories that are always popular amongst visitors. Moving upstairs, the first floor is the windmill's museum floor. The items on display are very household and domestic based, with many items being donated by residents from the local area. The first floor includes many different exhibits and artifacts, offering delightful insight into some local history and providing a glimpse into what life was like for the residents of Rayleigh and neighbourhoods during the early years of the 20th century. Items from both world wars can be found on display, as well as everyday household items from this time period. Some of the pieces you will find include a collection of pre-decimal coins, charity pins including an early poppy made of silk, and a vast array of historical photos and paper cuttings showing the life and times of Rayleigh down the years. Upstairs, the second floor of the windmill now serves mainly as an exhibition floor for local artists and community organizations. Artists are invited to utilize the space at the windmill for a few weeks as an opportunity to showcase their work and talent to all who visit. During the season, we have many different artists offering a wide variety of art and technique, and the artists remain present during their exhibition to speak to visitors to explain their art and their artistic process. Also on this floor, thanks to various donations, we have an exhibition displaying a number of early rural craft items. This display was prompted from the acquisition of a sack with the logo of the Rayleigh Windmill. It was in poor condition as it had been stored at the back of a barn for many years, but fortunately we were able to have it restored. Thelma Pastfield was born at the mill as her father worked as a wagon driver for Thomas Brown, the owner of the windmill at the time. It was a donation from Thelma's sister that paid for the sack's restoration and resulted in the purchase of related items in order to create a display reflecting the bygone era of Rayleigh's agricultural and rural past. Finally, the third floor is the last that is still accessible to the public at the windmill, and therefore is the highest we can go. This floor is dedicated to the Rayleigh Mount and its history, which is in an area adjacent to the windmill owned by the National Trust. The Mount was formerly the location of Rayleigh Castle, which was a motte and bailey castle. The castle was built around 1070 and was referenced in the Domesday Book, published in 1086. The castle was built and occupied by Sweyn, who had inherited the land from his father, Fitzwymark. The castle was located here at the Mount as it was a natural vantage point for the entire area. This is shown from the wonderful views you can find from the third floor of the windmill. These views overlook Rayleigh and even offer sights as far as Southend, South Woodham Ferrers and the Lachington Water Tower. iconic local landmark, the Rayleigh Windmill has been standing tall and proud for over 200 years. There is so much more to the history of this wonderful windmill. The Rayleigh Windmill has been awarded the accreditation of Quality Assured Visitor Attraction from Visit England and is a national winner of the Heritage and Museum Awards for customer service. We would love for you to come and visit us when we are open and meet our lovely volunteers. Further information, including details on the windmill's beautiful wedding ceremonies, can be found at www.rochford.gov.uk/windmill or by calling 01702 318 120.